I used to literally say to myself, and that is one reason I wrote a book called Trump Your Life. But I used to literally say to myself, I'm okay being, say, 30% of Donald Trump.
Right.
But I can't be 3%. And so the way I respond to this adversity has to be at least a third as good as what Trump would do. And it bolstered me. It gave me like a little bit of a spine of steel. And I think that can be channeled by other people who might use him as an example for their own lives and say, listen, if he can be indicted the times he's been indicted and accused of monstrous acts.
Yeah. And shot at twice.
And he keeps coming back.
What is it about him? He seems to be a unique individual. The resilience, I guess, the ebullience. What is it about him that makes him so different?
I think he has the capacity to stay in the theater of his own existence and say, that's interesting, instead of, oh my God. It's human. I understand. I've lived through things and I've counseled so many people who've gone through things, and that terrible feeling you get where you feel like your stomach's falling and, oh my God. I don't think he has those feelings. I think he basically looks at things askance.
Yes.
And he says, interesting. Let's see where this goes.
Like he did on the Biden debate stage when he was looking at Biden instead of,
I love that, where he tilted his head and
it's a meme.
And it's exactly the feeling I got back with the Paul Ryan debate, where he was thinking, what's wrong? There's something wrong here.
Yeah.
And what I mean by stay in the theater of your existence is the only time we walk out of a story tends to be our own or other people's when we shouldn't have, when we shouldn't have perhaps. But if you're watching a movie and the main character gets in a load of trouble, do you see anybody throwing their popcorn away and walking out saying, hey, Tom Cruise is in a jam, let's get out of here?
Right.
No. Everybody sits there. They say the very same thing, which is, let's see what happens. I wonder what's going to happen.
And Trump does that.
I think he has the capacity to say, I wonder what's going to happen. And also, he never thinks that the story is over. You can debate him. He can say things about what he thinks are your deficits. He can be very cutting.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he may come back and say, what about joining the administration? What? I thought.
Yes.
No, the story goes on. We're going to see it in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It takes that kind of storytelling ability to say, listen, this has gone on for hundreds of years. It can still end. It's a story.
An optimist too.
He's an optimist with a pen in his hand. That's very powerful to be able to say, look, I'm the author of my existence. You may have your vision of who I am, and you think it's the last chapter. It's not the last chapter. You shot me. It's not over. You know why? Because I can stand up, pump my fist in the air, and inspire millions of people and turn this whole thing to my advantage and the advantage of those millions of people.
I think he also has a kind of an ability to look at what could be the worst possible scenario and think he can handle anything. Because I asked him during the whole in New York when he was going to court every day, the judge was threatening him with jail for contempt. And I said, are you afraid of going to jail? And he thought about it and he said, nah, I don't care. He said, I thought about it myself. I really don't care.
Okay. So I think one other thing that he has is what I think people should ideally have, which is to say, I don't know what this is about. If you're a faithful person and you believe in God, and I believe he is both of those things, that you would say, I don't know what this is about. I only want to use it to the good. When I went through difficult times, I thought, I don't know how God's going to use this. If I show strength in the face of adversity and it's my child who is inspired by it, I may not be on the planet when somebody thinks that they have his back against the wall and he looks at them and says to himself, I saw my dad go through things. You don't have me cornered.
Yeah.
And I'd be in heaven, I hope heaven, pumping my fists in the air. And here I thought it was such a terrible time. No, it got repurposed to the good. Donald Trump has that. Put him in jail. He's going to figure out, wrongly put him in jail.
Yeah.
He's going to figure out, how does God turn this to the good? And how do I serve to make that happen?
Yeah. And in a way, his trials and tribulations did add to his allure to the voters and helped him win.
1,000%, because who doesn't have trials and tribulations?
Yes.
We all do. And we can be inspired. I think Tony Robbins is a gifted guy, but the whole country and the world is being treated for free to one of the greatest self-help seminars of all time. It happens to last 12 years, let's say, or more, where people really can say, I'm going to use what I'm witnessing here in my own life and try to understand it. So crazy. Progressive journalists would say, well, he's stupid.
Yeah.
He's coarse. No, that
he's
flies.
Insane.
He's insane. Well, that sort of flies in the face of certain facts. Like, the man's incredibly successful. His family's incredibly successful. Even his ex-wives respected him and continue to be, people he's been in terrible battles with come back with respect and say, I'd like to work with you.
And his adult children are all sort of fully rounded adults with families of their own. The grandkids love Donald Trump. The kids have a great relationship with him.
I've never had a bad Trump experience. No, I'm right. I bought a Trump tie. Fabulous. Right. I mean, I can't, right? He writes a book. It's a bestseller. He goes on TV when he wins an Emmy Award. In other words, these things can't be accidents. And yet people say, no, he's insane, or he's stupid. How could this be?
So Trump derangement syndrome, let's go there. It seems to just get worse, and it really does seem to me to be a psychiatric ailment. Some of the people I know personally who are afflicted just are obsessed. They cannot have a conversation without bringing up Donald Trump. What is that?
I think Donald Trump becomes a litmus test for whether you are offended by the notion of a core self connected to a higher power. What do I mean by that? I think there's an incredible movement afoot in this country and around the world to sever people from their core selves in every potential way. Why? So that the state can step in and say, really, you're not anchored. We're going to be your anchor. You don't know who you are, where you are, what you want, whether you can work anymore due to AI and everything else.
What sex you are.
What gender you are, what sex you are. We will tell you that because you need us to. Donald Trump is the antidote to that. He's offensive to those people because nobody would say, I don't think he's masculine. Right. I haven't heard that.
Right.
I mean, he's a man. He knows he's a man.
Yeah. And he's heterosexual in every way.
He's heterosexual in every way. He's forceful. Again, he's anchored to what he really believes. You can't go through what he went through if you are not really rooted, right? And have faith in what? Not the state, faith in yourself as connected to God. He has that. That's offensive to those with Trump derangement syndrome.
So that's why they hated the photograph with him pumping his fist.
Hated it. Of course, because what would they want? They would want you to be in pieces, hopefully weeping, begging maybe, and saying, I'm going to sue.
Right.
Because you should have protected me more. They don't like someone who says, get my shoes before we get out of here. They don't like that. And so I think there's that. And also even his diet, he knows what he wants to eat and it doesn't please them. Right. Like, that's not nutritionally perfect. You should really be going by the, FDA. It's like, no, I know what I like. I'm going to eat what
McDonald's,
I like. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, anybody who says, because I saw things unfold in my family related to substances, I've never touched a drink.
Yeah.
That's like throwing down the gauntlet to progressives who would say, well, that seems very obsessive and odd. No, I just know myself. I make decisions and I stick to them, right? Because I've seen things that I don't like. That's the guy that you want negotiating on our behalf and the world's behalf to end wars. He's also the guy who might walk around. I heard a story about LaGuardia and be pissed off. Like, how can they not get this right for less money?
Right.
The restoration of the airport. It's offensive to him because the truth matters. Facts matter. Reality matters to him. Nothing is a rounding error.
And why is he, though, so strong in those beliefs about reality? Because he also has quite a creative side. I don't know. I interviewed him and he talked about how his parents got him tested when he was young and found out, to his father's chagrin, that he was a musical genius. And his mother got him to learn the flute for a little while, which he, I think, was quite embarrassed about. And he's never talked about it before or since. So, and you see him, like, he's very interested in interior design, the way he's zhuzhed up the Oval Office, and he's fascinated by moving the paintings around and building a new ballroom. He's really into aesthetics, whether, they're everyone's cup of tea or not. So there is a creative side of him.
Clearly, there is, knowing that now, as you've explained it, and it makes sense to me. All those things are stories.
Huh.
So essentially, he has a sixth sense for narrative. His own narrative. He says, look, I watched my brother get sick from alcohol. I'm not going to be the character in the story who reproduces that.
Uh-huh.
I get it. I saw it. He's looking around the room saying, not quite right. But let's move that. What is that,
Yes.
by the way? We know what that is as human beings. We can empathize with that. It's that feeling, not quite right.
Yeah.
And he acts on it. And that's why...
He's a detail freak.
Yes. And it takes a detail freak with a creative side to be inspired by music. And it takes a musician on the world stage, I would argue, to say, I know all of the noise and the horrors that have unfolded in the Middle East. There's still a symphony in there somewhere.
Huh.
We have this guy. I don't know how it happened,
Yeah.
but we have this. What an opportunity.
Yes.
And I think people should embrace it, of course, as many of us are. Those with Trump derangement syndrome, they should look in the mirror and say, what does it mean that I hate this person? Use it therapeutically. And by the way, I'll get death threats over this, right? Use it therapeutically. Say to yourself, I have a very hyperbolic reaction to this person. Let's leave him aside. What could it mean about me that I'm so offended? And what it means probably is that there are elements of yourself you have not found that perhaps you've brokered away that you need to re-embrace. Because if you become yourself and you connect, I would suggest, to God, or you want to call it the universe, whatever people want to do. I'll say God. If you do that, you're going to like Donald Trump.
Right. Why?
You're going to like him because he's your soulmate in a way, because you are rooted as he is.
In reality.
In reality and in yourself. So in some ways, the diametric opposition would be somebody who has gender dysphoria. You're not sure if you're in the right body. Donald Trump is not only sure he's in the right body, he's sure he's in the right moment in history. He's sure that it's okay to test him and that he's going to summon every fiber of his being to find the right path according to his gut and his heart. At a time when AI is substituting for people's thoughts and trying to substitute for their feelings, and everybody's afraid, am I going to be an avatar? Are they going to reproduce me or clone me? Try cloning Donald Trump.
Yes.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And so even the occasional use of an obscenity is because he's authentic. He's authentic and he can find the right words, but he's not only highly intelligent, he is also grounded in self. This is like throwing down the gauntlet to those who want the state to live your life for you. And that's That's the nightmare scenario, where we're all cut off from ourselves. We're all therefore vulnerable to drug addiction. We're all therefore not respecting other people's lives. Because if you don't have a life, you don't respect life.
So that's would explain why Charlie Kirk's one of his last tweets a couple of months before he died was that he was afraid of, or not afraid of, but he was warning of the left's assassination culture, because there had been, there was the CEO murder in cold blood assassination. There were attempted assassinations on Trump. There was also this poll that showed that Liberals, more than half of them, thought it would be quite okay to assassinate Elon Musk or Donald Trump. And that was at a time when all the Tesla factories were being firebombed and attacked. So that sort of goes along with what you're saying about the kind of loss of self.
Yes. What is this? It's the myth of the vampire. The Walking Dead.
Right.
Are the killers.
That's what they look like. The Antifa people outside the ICE facilities, they look like they're extras from a horror movie.
No accident. There are no accidents in the world. Why do they look that way? Because they are those people.
Many of them are trans.
They want your blood. They want my blood. They want his blood.
Why?
Because they have none, and they are therefore thirsty for yours. It's an insatiable thirst. It's an addiction. It's the same as a contagion in the sense that because they have no core self, by the way, nobody's okay that way.
No.
Right? And
they look like tormented souls.
They're tormented. And how are you effective when you are not able to be generative? When you can't create things like Trump or a writer, a journalist.
Or just order.
Or just order.
Yeah.
Well, one way is to say the way I'm going to express the fact that I'm dead is to kill that guy. Right? And all the more so if it's somebody who's extremely grounded and trying to bring others.
Like Charlie Kirk.
Like Charlie Kirk. What was he doing? He was saying, let's talk. And I really want you to find the facts that you believe, present them to me in the most ordered way you can. I'll help you with that because I'm going to challenge you. And you're going to be stronger one way or the other. Either you're going to agree with me.
He was saving souls.
He was saving souls. And how do you save souls? You reinforce them and you suggest to them you are not anemic in your core. You're strong, and you could even be stronger. And I don't want to take part of you away. The progressives do want to do that. It's been done to them. They want to do it to others, and they thirst for a kind of infantile state in which the state is parent. They're taken care of as a child would be, or an infant, because they, for whatever series of reasons, they don't feel capable or competent themselves.
You're a Republican.
I am.
And the Democratic Party seems to me has gone from being, just a regular, sensible party to being so Trump deranged. They are the party of the living dead.
Yes.
Their Antifa is their street militia. Is there any coming back from that? How do you, I feel sorry for Democrats who are sensible people because they're homeless.
Someone would have to be anointed, present him or herself as
someone normal
who says, listen, we do have differences with the Republican Party, but we're not going to this Trump derangement syndrome. We're not going in the progressive direction. Is there the hope for that? I suppose so, but it's not the way that things are going. And that's predictable because things tend, once you're addicted to something, you tend to want to use more and more and more of it.
Like addicted to blood.
Like addicted to the blood of others, and looking for a reason why you can say you're okay when you're not. You're not okay, right? And so how can you assert that a country doesn't need borders? What happens to cells in the body when they don't have borders? That's called cancer. You die.
Right.
This is a cult of death. It really is.
Wow.
A country with no borders is called a malignancy coming across the border, right? Because you have no integrity, meaning bodily integrity.
Yes.
So from the border to the person, they want to obliterate reality, boundaries, the difference between you and me, the difference between men and women, the agenda for psychiatrists who used to be in the business of helping you find yourself.
Yeah.
And instead, in the Bible of psychiatry, the DSM-5, they're telling you to affirm someone who says, I'm a man, when DNA says otherwise, that person's body says otherwise, and you could help.
Right.
What are they telling you to do? Don't help.
Or you'll be struck off.
You'll be struck off. Do not help. And what is that saying? You're not a person.
Right.
You belong to this organization, which belongs to the state, which belongs to the world government.
Yes.
In the end, then there's nowhere to go.
And is there a mastermind behind this kind of progressive ideology? Or is it, Jordan Peterson sometimes calls it a hive mind? Is it, received ideology from Marx, or where does it come from, and who's orchestrating it?
I think there can certainly be leaders of that hive. I think Barack Obama was a kind of leader of that hive. He goes around giving an apology tour saying, America's terrible. Well, he did. And that was an early volley in the effort to say, if you're living in this country, that doesn't mean it's a good place. It doesn't mean that you're good. Start questioning yourself. By the way, that's a cousin of, you may be in the wrong body, by the way.
Right.
And borders, maybe they don't matter. And. So, yes, I think it's a hive, but it also appeals to a basic, very self-defeating instinct in people, which is the instinct to be an infant again, be cared for, be told what to do, relax.
Right.
Everything's going to be fine. We'll feed you.
Take some soma.
We'll give you take some soma. We'll give you an allowance.
Yes.
We'll feed you. And you won't experience self-esteem, which will then make you very angry, because people who have been cored, they've had their core taken out of them, they're not happy inside. They're really mad. And then you can get them to project their anger at others and go get a gun.
Right. And then you've got the Antifa zombies outside the ICE facility.
The vampires.
The vampires. Just quickly on Barack Obama, I know that you said about him once that he suffered from abandonment issues. Can you expand a little on that?
Well, absolutely, because after all, he was abandoned as a child. He said that he suspected that his grandmother, who was Caucasian, didn't much like people of color. If that's something that you happen to say.
And she brought him up.
And she brought him up. And if you happen to say that, you suspect that the person who brought you up may not have liked you because of your color. Well, okay, you've got a real edge. And you're mad as hell. And that even goes to questions about, well, okay, so are you saying that early on you felt that yourself, who you were, was under siege by somebody you truly needed? Could that be why you want to put other people under siege in terms of who they are? Is that why it's offensive to you that a country might have borders, or that this country might be special? Isn't it okay that we're special? That seems okay to me. I think we've worked pretty hard for it. I'd like to contribute to it.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I'd like to contribute to that. And I think that is a direct challenge to those who would say, what do you mean you? Barack Obama said that if you have a business, you don't have that business. You use the roads to get your employees there. How would you have a business if not for our highways?
Right.
I'm sorry. Last time I checked, I think I paid taxes and stuff to support that. I don't think you own my business. He does.
Right.
Because you can't have anything because you are not a person.